Well, there you have it. We strive for the best, and I love the NFL. I love the NFL. I've covered it. Obviously, I've watched it. And nothing against college football at all. I love college football, too. I mean, my goodness. Would you... Here, blonde, brunette, redhead. You can't go wrong either way, right? I mean, come on. But I would just point out that, going to the highest level, getting the insight, but that highest level, he knows how to give a question, give that short, direct answer that maybe doesn't say that much. Even asking about his point of light, so to speak, going down to the Dominican, giving away shoes and such, and talking about this. And yeah, he did point something out. And I don't know, maybe we talk about this at a later date. We're going to get Gerald back on. Actually, I think that was something we should do, is get Gerald back on and talk a little bit about, what's it like to prepare in the NFL in this week. I think the last time the Jacksonville Jaguars actually were in the playoffs, Gerald Sensabaugh was part of that team back in 2007. They went up and beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh, if memory serves. There you go. David Gerard was the quarterback. Anyway, point that I did want to make, though, is, you're talking a little bit about poverty. And look, this is Appalachia. And I know that, I've talked about this. I've heard stats that say 15% of the population don't have adequate plumbing facilities in East Tennessee. I am a little skeptical of that, and I've asked, wait a minute here, because, I've lived here, what is it now? This is going to be since 86 off and on. I've met the people out in the holler at Sulphur Springs. I once had a girlfriend who, I don't know if we were really that serious, but we'd see each other sometimes. And she lived out, I mentioned Sulphur Springs, out that way, And it was backwater, it's no way around that. And I remember when they wanted to go to the bathroom, they would actually get in their car and go to the convenience store. That's, I know that. But the thing was, it wasn't because they were living in a shack so much, it was because their bathroom was broken. So they had to do this for a while, Anyway, and I wonder how much of Appalachian poverty is that. Oh, no, the pipes froze. What are we going to do? Gosh, I don't have the, you call the plumber, but you say, well, how much is this going to cost? Do we have that on credit? We don't have that. I don't really want. Okay, what can we do right now to get by until I can save up and pay the plumber? What can I do to do that? I know that, and there are going to be people out there that are that way. I get that. And good luck to you if that's the case and all that. But yeah, the Dominican poverty that he speaks of, and I thought that was a great thing. You could bring, we can make fun of East Tennessee hillbillies if we want to or something, but they understand the concept of television. The idea that some people in Dominican did not, you still everybody, the kids in Flag Pond go to school. I've got an elementary school right there, They've even replaced the basketball backboard from the old Phillips 66 tin sign. Going places there. But, yeah, there is a difference. And we talk a lot about the poverty, but, the grass is always greener. Sometimes somebody's got it a little bit worse off. I was unhappy because I had no shoes. Then I met the man who had no feet. Gerald Sensabaugh giving shoes to the people in the Dominican Republic. Gerald Sensabaugh also steering him to football. There you are. All right. So, by the way, if you missed it, top of the show, my picks this week. I like straight up and with the spread Titans. Yes, Titans. The key to that game is Mariota going to attack the Chiefs secondary. I think if he does, Titans win that game. I think this Titans passing game, they've been real conservative. He's thrown more picks than touchdowns this year. But the Chiefs secondary with that Berry is not very good. It's ripe for the taking. And, they did it with mirrors. And perhaps people in the first 5 weeks of the year worried about the way the Chiefs used to do it. Steelers broke that up. They handed them their first loss. Since then, including that game, I should say, Chiefs have lost 6 out of their last 11. Now, I realize the Titans have lost 3 of their last 4, although they did beat the Jaguars last game of the year. I get that. And I do think that it means something to be kind of hot to go into the playoffs. But it goes down to Mariota, and I think that if he attacks the Chiefs secondary, if they do some first down throwing, not just stuffing a ball into the gut with Henry, then the Titans win that game. If they are ultimately too conservative, no. I think then the Chiefs do win. But I'm gonna do something that a lot of people say you shouldn't do this year. Bet on Mariota, figuratively, and go with the Titans. Because of being hot, 6-2 their last 8 games, that's the reason I like the Falcons to beat the Rams. That's another upset that I'm picking. There you go. On Sunday, I like the Jaguars to demolish the Bills. I think the Jaguars are a sleeper team in this year's playoffs. I wouldn't at all be surprised if the Jaguars represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. I'm not picking it because I like Brady and Roethlisberger more than Blake Bortles. Who doesn't? But that defense is good. Real good. Led the NFL in sacks. Fewest yards allowed all year long through the air. Okay. Maybe playing, the Colts twice this year had something to do with it. Maybe the fact they didn't have to face Watson, the second time. I get that. But, so that's the difference between them allowing, 170 yards this year, which they did per game, and 175? Really? I mean, they've got 4 guys on that team with 8 sacks or more. They picked off Ben Roethlisberger 5 times in Pittsburgh and beat him by 21 points and had touchdown runs of 90 yards. Now, I know that's ancient history. But, lost their last 2 games. I get that. I just don't think the Bills are all that good. I don't like Tyrod Taylor. Shady McCoy's banged up. 33-6 is my pick. Jacksonville. The other game, I like the Saints over the Panthers. Real easy why. I've been telling you, since the beginning of the season, actually even during the offseason, I was like, the Saints, putting on those old veterans, they're gearing up for one last run this year. I'll give them at least a playoff victory. But you know what? It goes down to Falcons at Eagles in the NFC. If that's the way it were to go, that's where I'm picking. And then you would have the Saints at Minnesota. Those are winnable games for the lower seeds. I know Minnesota, the odds makers, by the way, say the favorite to go Minnesota and New England. Minnesota, this is Super Bowl 52. Minnesota has not made the Super Bowl in 41 years. They're always the bridesmaid. Tell you the truth, Minnesota is always the definition of good but not great. Minnesota has been for the last 40-odd years basically what the Dallas Cowboys have been for the last 20. If you really want to get down to it, Adrian Peterson, Brett Favre, didn't matter. You're still thinking Tommy Kramer. 15-1. Anderson misses the field goal. I still am angry at Dennis Green. I think he got way too conservative trying to play for a field goal in that situation. And that allowed the Falcons to beat them in overtime and go on to their first Super Bowl back when. Chase Keenum, by the way, is good. Look at the records he set in Houston. He's one of the most prolific passers in the history of college football. And I want to mention this because Chase Keenum, there are a lot of different things. And to a certain extent, Coty Sensabaugh, journeyman defensive back. Made that pick against Tennessee. Now, he did, and I politely forgot about this. He also allowed a long touchdown pass. All right. Yeah. But I'm going to tell you this much. I'm going to tell you this much about where I'm looking at. I like what I'm seeing this year from underdogs. And maybe Chase Keenum is one of those underdogs. I'm more of a guy in football who likes the guy who can play. I don't really care that much about what they do in the combine. You know, that's one of the reasons why I'm talking about Baker Mayfield. I know the defenses in the Big 12 aren't that good, but he's put up the stats. Won a Heisman. I don't know why Oklahoma didn't go for it on fourth down in the overtime, in their first overtime. Seems to me that was where they lost the ball game. Of course, they also had a 17-point lead at one point, too, and then didn't help out there either, much either, huh? But where I'm going to is the quarterback's coming out. You're going to hear a lot about, Rosen or Jackson and the combat. I like what they do on the field. I really like that. And it's one of the reasons why, believe it or not, until he became too whiny to play, in my opinion, I liked Michael Sam. Man, did very well in the preseason with sacks. 2-time SEC Defensive Player of the Year. I thought he could play. I think that once he came out as gay, that became more the story than this guy's a good football player. And that's unfortunate. And some of that is his own doing. Because when you're a 7th-round pick, you're not supposed to go out and sign, contracts for reality shows. You're supposed to make the team. NFL doesn't like it when you go out and sign contracts for reality shows when you're a 1st-round pick, let alone a 7th. But yeah, I thought he could play. But what did they say? Oh, he's a little undersized. So anyway, let's go back to Chase Keenum in these NFL playoffs. Again, when you do it in college like that, but you're undrafted, this is that argument. Oh, he did it all in college, but, it's Conference USA, and scouts didn't like him, right? So what? He's got some things to learn here, undrafted. And that's why, people are not getting on board the Keenum bandwagon. But if you look at what he did in Houston, you can't help but get along on that bandwagon. When you look at 13-3, you can't help but get on that bandwagon. The Vikings have the quarterback they need to go to the Super Bowl. The Eagles do not. Foles ain't going to do it. Sorry. So that's the way we go there. But yeah, I could see, going back to this, when I look at this, and I'm picking the Falcons and the Saints. And I don't know how long the Saints run. Maybe it ends with the division title. Who knows? But like I said, start of the year, you pick up those veterans, building around Breeze for one last time. Saints were bucking for this year. They were making this their year. Now, they're only the 4th seed. But I think they're going to beat the Panthers. And I think that the Saints going to Minnesota is a delicious, delicious game that if the way the playoffs, I think, will go out of the NFC, the winner of the conference would come out of that game, in my opinion. I've said this all before. I think there are 3 teams that can make it. Coty Sensabaugh's Steelers, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's Patriots, assuming they don't kill each other beforehand. And yeah, I do think that defense with the Jaguars, Leonard Fournette, if they can get that lead and keep it, that pass rush is insane. 10-6, lose their last 2, going to the Super Bowl after 4-12. Yeah, you want to say, well, not this year for the Jaguars. Maybe, Blake Bortles got to show me something, or maybe if they get another quarterback, or, next year. I know what you're thinking with the Jaguars. I get that. I'm not necessarily saying they are going to go. I'm saying they can. And don't discount that. Other 3 teams, yeah, I think, I do think the Titans win this week, but I don't see them going to New England and winning, but if it is Jacksonville and Pittsburgh, that's a dogfight. That's a game right there. And 2 best pass rushes in the league. That would be the matchup. And I do think my big thing, my stone cold lead pipe, I'm positive about this. Take it to the bank. No, figuratively, don't do it. Remember my friend who once said, who do you think is going to win this game? I told him and he lost $2,000 on it. I had no idea who was going to bet. Please forgive me. I had no idea. But remember, Jaguars in a walk. Come back on Monday. See what happens. On Monday, by the way, we will have on Steve Forbes, as we usually do at 1 o'clock, hottest team in a SoCon. I think are going to win all 3 games to start their SoCon season. All on the road. 2 of them against good teams. It's a big alumni event before the game in Chattanooga this Saturday. Players will be there. Then they go to, what do they call it? They go to the arena in Chattanooga. I've forgotten what they call it. They call it the Roundhouse. I've forgotten what they've called the Chattanooga arena. I know that it's just a mental block right now, but I think they win by a lot of points. Chattanooga is just down this year. Really, the entire Chattanooga athletic department seems to be down. But that's what happens when your AD really makes a play to go elsewhere, like to Tennessee, and he doesn't get the job. It's like I told Gene Henley last year, if Blackburn is pining for Tennessee, if he's openly campaigning for that job, and he's still at Chattanooga, yeah, I know where the hierarchy of college athletics are, but I'm still a D1 program. I'm still in competition with the Vols. My basketball team beats their basketball team last year. And I'm saying, okay, Mr. Blackburn, Gene Blackburn, that's the way you want it? That's fine. Go campaign for that job full-time because I need an athletic director here that wants to improve the Mocs, not the Vols. And basically that's what they did. And although I applaud them for it, I wonder how much that campaigning that Blackburn did back in the day has really wrecked the Mocs. I really do. Anyway, we'll have Steve Forbes on. Then on Tuesday, I'm going to be talking to new ETSU football coach, late of Florida State, late of Tennessee, Randy Sanders, offensive coordinator of the 98 national champion Vols. He's in Johnson City now. He's the new football coach. He has the task of eliminating the moniker and making ETSU football quit being a bunch of SOBs, the same old Bucks. He's really worked to get that head coaching position. And I will say this, although his stock is down, hiring the offensive coordinator from Florida State, that's something of a coup for ETSU. May have been a bigger coup, at the time at least, to get Carl Torbush after all he had been the coach at North Carolina. And you know what? There had never been a bigger name coach in any sport come to ETSU, not even Murray Bartow, than when Carl Torbush came to coach the football team. So Randy Sanders being a coordinator, I mean, the casual football fan may know, one coordinator or something? I mean, the heavy-duty football fan, those are the guys that know the coordinators. Guys like me who write about Josh Hoople 2 years ago being a great hire from Missouri for Saturday Down South, and then seeing him get hired by Central Florida this offseason as their head coach. But just think about that here for a second. Tennessee, they hire a coordinator, defensive coordinator from Alabama. Mississippi State, they hire a coordinator, offensive coordinator from Penn State. I realize their stock was up. So was Hoople's. Josh Heupel. But you're still getting a coordinator in Sanders from a major program to come from an ETSU. You're making a comparable hire to what Central Florida made, Mississippi State made, and Tennessee made. Circumstances may have dictated it. But that's a good hire for ETSU. And I'll be talking to that hire, Randy Sanders, on Tuesday here on Tri-City Sports Now. I'll also be asking him what in the world went wrong with you at Florida State this past year. And all. Number 3 in the country, you got a 6-6 before you beat a Southern Mississippi team in a bowl game. Southern Mississippi loses to Tennessee this year by 2 touchdowns. Come on. Anyway, that wasn't what the Seminoles were planning this year. Our final segment comes up. I'm going to take a look at some of the coaching changes, who some of the hot spots and all that are. A little bit of talk maybe about who is making the Hall of Fames, if I can get to it. And I do want to talk a little bit about the FCS. Boy, I've only got a few minutes to do all that. I will come back and try to hit all those things. I hope I do. Maybe we'll save some for Monday when we talk about the NFL and certainly the national championship game on Tri-City Sports Now.